now Haliburton wins game 1, steals it from OKC.
Insane.
I don't know. How does he keep getting away with this? As Jesse says,
Yes.
he can't keep getting away with this. Joe, cringy bingy, though. The media buying and selling Haliburton stock like a meme coin, flipping and flopping on most clutch. Oh, here comes OKC. They're going to sweep them now. Gentlemen sweep. Just, Joe, cringy bingy.
I don't think it's buying and selling, Cliff. I think it's switching between eating crow and saying I told you so. Because that's really what they want. They hate Haliburton. They want him to fail so bad so that when he fails, they can criticize him and say, yeah, see, we were right for thinking this guy wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And yeah, people are shading him just like insanely all the time. Even when he hits the game winner, they're like, yeah, he's just like not doing anything. He sucks, the whole game. And then he hits the game winner. And so, it's one of those like very through your gritted teeth, like, credit to him. That's the phrase, Cliff. When people say that phrase, credit to him, you know what they mean is like, what the freak? Like, this guy sucks. Like, that's what they mean. They mean, like, I really don't want to say this, but what can I say? Because it happened. It happened. He made it. And so that's what I think. People don't want him to be as ridiculously good as he has been in this whole season, but especially in this postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, he's been ridiculous. You got some stuff here. I want to roll through this stuff because
all right, let me roll through this stuff
insane.
and then you respond to it, okay?
Yeah.
So there's a website that has a stat. It's called Unpredictable. It's called Clutch Win Probability Added. Essentially, it measures how many extra wins a player was worth in the clutch over a defined period. During this postseason, this specific one, Haliburton's clutch shooting has added an estimated 2.48 wins for the Pacers. And you're like, oh, that's not that many, 2.48 wins. In second place in the entire history of the NBA, LeBron James, 1.86, 2013.
Yep.
No one has
That's
ever...
peak LeBron, by the way.
That's peak LeBron.
Yep.
Has ever touched the value of shot making in the clutch that Haliburton has done. They have the Pacers have the highest clutch win percentage in NBA history, 8-1 in the playoffs, which is ridiculous.
Insane.
To me, and one more note, Haliburton is now, this season and the playoffs, 13 of 15 in game-tying, game-winning shots this season. That stat is unreal. It looks like a DeAndre Jordan stat or a Daniel Gafford stat.
Daniel Gafford, yeah. On dunks, though.
On dunks.
Not game-winning dunks, just regular dunks.
On just consecutive dunks. That's what it looks like. It's insane. To me, outside of the Dirk 2011 run, this to me mirrors the 2007 LeBron James Cavs run, where he beat Antoine Jameson. This was the Wizards, I think it was before Gilbert, or maybe it was after. Yeah, before Gilbert. Vince, Jason Kidd, RJ, New Jersey Nets, and the Pistons, of course, the famous 25 of the 26 last points made LeBron James run, where it was just unreal. What was happening before your eyes was unreal. That's how I feel watching Tyrese Haliburton in the clutch. It just feels unreal, like what is happening. Belief is just a crazy drug.
Didn't we say that, Cliff? Belief. As long as you have belief, you have a chance. And by the way, one quick thing. Tyrese Haliburton, one last stat. He's shooting, I don't know, you didn't say this, right? 106.7% effective field goal percentage.
No, I didn't say that.
On shots to tie or go ahead in the final two. Oh, higher than 100. He's shooting higher than 100%.
How does that make sense?
Effective field goal percentage because it adds in certain probabilities and
I see.
That is insane. That is insane. Look, it doesn't matter. Let me just tell all these stupid analysts something, okay? If you win the game, it doesn't matter. If you win the game, it doesn't matter what else happens in the game. There is no morality in basketball. I hate the idea even of like ethical scoring. This like stupid idea that can't. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. Okay, like that's like saying that's like saying I'm gonna intentionally nerf myself. You know, I found an exploit in a game and I'm not gonna use it. Right? That's why I've never cared about the SGA free throw merchant thing. If you are good at manipulating the rules, it's fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's part of the game. That's part of the skill of the game, right? If you're good at it, it's like, oh, this guy has a super good move, so I'm not going to use it because it's unfair. How does that make sense? If that's built into the game, you got to force them to change the rules, right? You have to do what Shaq did. You have to do what these players do. Like, you have to force them to change the rules. You don't change the rule. Like, you don't adjust your game to allow other players to have less, or to force yourself to have less of an advantage, to allow other players to catch up to your advantage. Like, that doesn't make sense. So let's throw out the idea of like, oh, there's a right way though. No, you have to do this. Yeah. No, whatever results in winning is the right way in sports. Of course, I'm not talking about cheating. Obviously, I'm not talking about like PEDs or going outside the rules,
or
like Lance Armstrong. None of that stuff. But I'm saying within the rules, whatever you do, that's within the rules. If you get 0 assists and you get 100 points and you win the game, then guess what? You did the right thing. Only stupid people criticize that and be like, oh, but he had no assists. See, who cares? You won the game. If you had a terrible game for 3 quarters and in the 4th quarter you scored 12 points and you score the game winner, who cares? You won the game. Mm-hmm. He's winning the game. Mm-hmm. So if he loses in the end, then you criticize him, right? So like game 2, criticism's fair. They lost the game. People are saying he needs to be more aggressive. I agree. All that makes sense. To criticize him for his game 1, I think, is stupid. It's just stupid. They won the game. You won the game. Right? And before anybody says like, oh, but that's not going to work every time. Well, it worked for 3 series in a row. Yeah, we've already gone over this. Haliburton's had like 8-point games. Haliburton's had these weird games where he kind of doesn't play well, but somehow look, he's up and down as a shooter, as a scorer. Right. And actually, First Things First had this crazy stat. I wish I didn't prepare it. But like the change in his shooting percentage based on whether he makes his first shot of the game is like crazy. Mm. It's a huge amount. It's like 20% or something. That's too much. It's like 10+% though. His field goal percentage, which is like, that's nuts for a professional NBA player to have that much variance just based on whether or not they make their first shot. But look, right now, that's the player that he is. He's streaky, right? So if his confidence, comes and goes based on how he's shooting early. And so I get that. But look, if they win the series and Haliburton has this kind of up and down performances and all of that, and what does it matter?
What we know, right? We know 2 points in the playoffs are worth more than 2 points in the regular season. Yes. We also know 2 points at the end of the game are much more than 2 points at the beginning of the game.
Yes, they're worth more.
They're
more valuable, even though people are going, oh, but it doesn't matter. They're the same. 2 points in the first quarter. No, it's not. Obviously not. If anybody who's played any sport on any level, even as a little kid, a hit at the end of the game is worth way more than a hit in the first inning. 2 points at the end of the game is worth way more than 2 points in the first quarter because people get tight. Mm-hmm. Like, I hate people who try to remove the psychological aspect or the kind of like story, the narrative idea from how we evaluate sports. Of course it matters because when we play sports, you are also playing the story in your own head.
Of course.
So you can't remove that. It can't be like, oh, it's all about stats. Just look at the box score. If he did this and this and no, of course not. When you're in the game, you are also interpreting everything that's happening, not as individual 2 points, 2 points. No, it's a story. That's why you talk about the runs. That's why you talk about an 11-0 run or like the momentum, right? Because that's not just what I'm saying is that's not our subjective, we're not putting that on top of something that's just purely objective. Right? It's not just our interpretation of like because the players in the game are also affected by that. So if they were robots and we were reading it as like, oh, okay, yeah, we see all these things, but it doesn't matter to the play. No, of course it matters to them. Of course it matters to the players in the game. That's why all this stuff matters. That's why 2 points at the end of the game are more valuable than 2 points at the beginning of the game. So if you're going to step up in the fourth quarter every time and you're going to score 10 points, you're going to score 15 points and hit the game winner, and your team wins. To me, that's more valuable than having 30 points for the whole game and being down 10 in the fourth and then losing. Why would that be better?
And that's Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
That's literally Donovan Mitchell.
That is Donovan Mitchell.
Belief, again, is a hell of a drug. The last team that believed this hard, the Jimmy Butler Miami Heat. That was the last team that believed this hard. They would not back down. Great coach as well that just facilitates the system. And then one guy that just believes in himself so good. I also think Haliburton had a great retort for people that are like criticizing his box score. And they're just box score watchers. They don't watch the game. They don't use the eye test to see like what's happening, in between the lines.
Yeah.
Because that's all part of it, right? And Austin Reeves talked about it too, right? If you just look at the box score, you're not going to see what I'm doing. But like I thought I had a great game, and when I've supported the team and built the team to this win, even though it says I shot 7 for 21, right?
Yeah.
And people are going to be like, oh, he had a horrible game. But the result, you say this, you said this so eloquently when we started this podcast 6 years ago. I think it was 6 years ago. You said, the point of basketball is to win.
Yeah. It seems but it's lost on a lot of people.
But that has gotten lost. The point, like, rings. People use rings to like count these things. Of course, because rings is proof that you won.
Yeah, the thing is, a ring, the reason rings matter in the argument, it's not the whole argument. Anybody who says, oh, okay, Robert Horry is the GOAT or whatever, it's like, that's stupid because nobody is saying that, right? It's not the only thing. But obviously, it's a big thing because it is an unassailable evidence. It is an kind of like almost an infallible evidence, right? Like, if you're the best player on a championship team that wins the championship, you can't criticize that. You could say, oh, you shot bad. Who cares? The point of winning a championship is not shooting good. The point of basketball is not shooting well. It's winning a championship. The point of basketball is not having an all-around box score. It's winning a championship. The point of basketball is not having a great PER. It's winning a championship. So all the people who want to say like, oh, but basically, this is the argument against that. Oh, but you can't control all these things. You can't control, there's so much luck involved. What if your team's not good? What if your coach is not good? Yes, those are factors. However, if you're going to take that argument all the way, then winning literally doesn't even matter. Because it's just a byproduct of being in the right system, with the right team, with the right coach, with the right organization. So the players don't deserve any credit then. Why give them credit? You just had a good team. Like, you were just on the better team. You had the better coach. You had home court advantage, whatever. Why get credit? You're lucky. Why give anybody credit for anything? If we're not going to give players credit for winning, why give them credit for anything?
Here's my thing, right? Because, like, everyone will always talk about that 2007 LeBron team and be like, look who we dragged there to the finals, which you're right. It's true, yes. Right? He did drag nobodies to the finals, which is why we respected him like crazy. But why did he get swept in the finals? Is it because his team was sorry? I think what really happened, and Dave Chappelle talked about this, whoever has the most powerful dream, the more powerful dreamer will succeed, right? And LeBron lost belief in that series against Duncan. Duncan's talked about it. Not Duncan. Everyone that talks about Duncan has talked about this all the time, right? You cannot phase him. You cannot rattle him with trash talk, nothing. He just slaps you on the mic. He's like, nice shot. Good job, young fella. All right. Next time. All right. Yeah. Right? KG could not rattle him.
I hear KG in your
KG
delivery.
could not rattle him, right?
Yep.
Boogie Cousins could not rattle him. All these people and that's what happened to LeBron. Is he greater than Duncan? Yes, of course. His ability is the greatest the game has ever seen. But his will, his belief in himself and his team was less than Duncan, right? And we're seeing it here right now. What is going to happen in this finals? Haliburton believes. His team believes in him too.
Yes.
I see SGA believe. But I don't see Jalen and Chet believe.
It's waning for sure. It's wavering. It's wavering up and down. And by the way, OKC, I know they had a good game too. It was only okay to me.
They did the thing you always talk about. They front ran.
They're front runners. By the way, on the clutch stat, SGA 0 for 7 in the Haliburton shots. The same shots that Haliburton is 13 for 15 in, SGA is 0 for 7.
Yeah.
Including game 1, right, of the finals. Actually, what was that shot? That shot was to put him up 3. Right? Yeah, so.
And that's his go-to shot.
It is. And so, look, I fully expect anybody who didn't expect. I don't even know why they're commentating game 2, like why they're analyzing game 2. Obviously, OKC is gonna win. If you lose game 2, I mean, it's over. Yeah. It is just literally over. In the finals, the best team of the season, 68-win team, they're gonna lose. They're gonna get what,
back to back?
I mean, that's just crazy. That's not gonna happen. Okay.
No.
So they were obviously gonna win game 2. I'm surprised they didn't win by more, to be frank.
Yeah. They lost the fourth quarter.
Which is crazy. I'm very curious as to what's going to happen game 3. Because I think SGA will have a good game. Is Jalen going to play well? Is Chet going to play well?
He has had 2 bad games in a row in the finals.
Because, let me tell you something. Nemhard is coming. At home, the Pacers' first finals game since 2000.
And Neesmith.
That's what I was gonna say. Neesmith is gonna play well. McConnell plays well no matter what. Did I tell you about McConnell? Haven't I talked about McConnell before this whole thing happened? We've talked about McConnell
for like 2 years. Yeah. He's the Derek White of the Pacers.
These guys, they don't flinch, right? But you know what? Obi Toppin's gonna play well. Miles Turner's gonna play. Like, these guys are, and I bet Haliburton is also gonna play better.
Mm-hmm.
So, because he's going to be at home, he's going to be more comfortable.
And Siakam does his Siakam things,
Siakam is
27-5.
Yeah,
you know.
Siakam is generally
27-3.
He's kind of the pulse. He's always going to kind of just do his thing.
Again, as I say, he's a great support.
Yes,
probably the best support in the league, but he's not a hard carry. You cannot bank on him to hard carry.
He's in a fire cliff. He's the wood, right? Without the wood, you got no fire. But without fire, you also have no fire. And without... Sorry. Sorry, I'm a little sick. Without fire, obviously, you have no fire. And without accelerant. So he's not really accelerant, right?
No Tinder. No propane.
He's not gas. He's not Tinder. Yeah, he's not Flint and Steel. He's not all that stuff, right? He is just...
the base.
The base. You need something there, right? You need some kind of foundation. That's Siakam.
You need SCVs to go get the mining, all right? I need that.
Hey, I mean, you can't win without an army, but without minerals, you can't even have an army.
You can't. You need SCVs. You need those supply depots to like increase your capacity.
Yeah, you need them.
It's not flashy.
Supply depots.
It's not flashy, but it's important. It is.
It is important. He's got a little radar tower in him too. He's doing some defense. He's there. He does the little cannon, offense and defense.
Oh, whatever the Protoss ones and the Zerg ones, I forget what those guys are. I forget.
Yeah, I forget too.
I
never played Zerg. Zerg's weird.
Siakam seems more Terran to me.
Yeah, for sure. The balanced, boringest middle. Just that's Siakam. Just steady.
Yeah. And OKC seems like Protoss to me.
Yeah, the cool. But if you get rushed, man, it's over.
It's over, dude.
It's just over.
Yeah, because the Pacers overall, I know Siakam's a Terran, but the Pacers overall are freaking Zergs, dude.
You invest to just destroy, but if all your carriers go, you're like, oh crap, it's over.
Yeah.
The counterattacks. You're not good at taking the counterattacks.
Nobody Gen Z understands what we're talking about because this game came out in like 1996.
People still play probably StarCraft.
Do they? StarCraft
probably.
2.
It's been around forever.
Yeah. But, obviously, Haliburton just, I don't know what he is. Carry.
I just think it's weird because when they criticize him like they would criticize a superstar, but when they credit him, they never give him superstar credit.
I like that.
Because it's like, if he's just not a superstar, like if he hits the game winner in game 1, right?
Yeah.
And you should just be like, wow, that's amazing. Like what he's doing is just ridiculous, right? Because he's not a superstar.
Like if it was Nemhard doing all of it instead of Haliburton.
Yeah, but not obviously he's not a role player, but
if it was like Siakam doing it all.
Yeah, exactly. But they kind of but they're doing the opposite. Do you know what I'm saying? Haliburton is doing all the superstar things. Yeah. But they don't want to call him a superstar no matter what.
They're giving him Siakam level credit.
But then when they blame him, they're like, dude, he's the best player on the team. But I don't get it. Why is Siakam the best player on the team when Haliburton hits the game winner? But when they lose the game, that Haliburton's supposed to be the best player on the team. That is the reason for them losing. If Siakam's the reason they win, he should be the reason they lose. It can't be like Siakam's the reason they win, but Haliburton's the reason they lose. But that's what I see. Whenever Haliburton does something amazing, they don't want to give him full credit. They're like, oh, that's great. Oh, yeah, he had this historic triple-double, no turnovers. But, last game he played bad. Or the next game he played bad. It's like, yeah, but I don't get it. Nobody criticized Shea after game 1. And they lost the game.
And he had a game winner chance.
Exactly. And he missed the shot to put the game away. Or with the Pacers, who knows? Maybe the game wouldn't have been put away. But at least to put them up 3, right? To at least
they can't
guarantee
lose it.
Overtime. Yeah.
They can't lose it.
And he missed that shot. He didn't shoot very efficiently. He was pressing a bit. I saw Tim Legler say that he was pressing a bit, but he's the only unbiased analyst that's out there. And everybody else is just Shea played amazing. He was great. Chet's the reason they lost. To be fair, Chet played bad, but I think the whole Mark Dagnall did some weird stuff. Why change the lineup? I don't think that made a ton of sense. They went back to the big lineup in game 2 and that worked, but who knows if that even worked, or it's just game 2, you're desperate, you have to win, so you're going to win no matter what happens. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens after game 3. If the Pacers win game 3, which I think probably will happen, what are people going to say? What if, and who knows, probably by the time this is out, game 3 will, well, actually, maybe not. But, let's say Haliburton has a crazy game. Let's say Haliburton goes, not crazy, 22, 11 assists, 8 rebounds, and he hits another game winner. Let's just throw it in there. Yeah, I don't think that'll happen.
Just to say.
But just to say, yeah. What are people going to say then? I wonder if it'll be man, Haliburton, he is a superstar. Or if people are going to be like, but see, like, if he did that every game, you know what I mean? To me, that's such a stupid thing because they haven't even played long series. Right? Like, they're winning these games they're not supposed to, closing out the series early, like against the Bucks, against the Cavs. Even against the Knicks, I mean, essentially, like, they ended it. And then, but people kind of are like floating this idea that, but you know, if Haliburton was more consistent, this team would be better. How are they going to be better, Cliff?
No, it's impossible for this team to be better than what they are.
How could they be better?
They playing better at their maximum.
You really think they could be better? They've played fewer games. Haven't they played fewer games than OKC has in the playoffs? They played equal. Like, they've played an equal amount.
They definitely feel like Rocky Balboa, where it's just like you cannot knock them out.
Cliff, I was gonna say, okay, they're Rocky, right? And hey, you know, hey Rocky, just punch better in the early rounds.
Yeah, you could win. You should have beat Drago earlier.
Right. Like if Rocky just did what he does at the end earlier, he'd just win earlier.
Yeah, just do that.
Yeah, tire the other guy out earlier. Yeah, tire them out earlier, you know? Because I find it hilarious that people are like, oh, yeah, you know, somehow they just mentally focused more in the second half. You know, also, yes, of course, I believe that is true. But also, people get tired as the game goes on.
Of course.
That's a thing. Yeah. I know they're top shelf athletes, but even top shelf athletes, yes, as evidenced by Donovan Mitchell, get tired towards the end of the game. Okay? They all get tired.
He's
towards
so
the end
tired
of the
at the game, but not tired enough to stay up all night.
And certain players, because they have so much adrenaline, they actually get like faster. You know, their advantage increases towards the end of the game because while other players are getting tired, while the mental pressure starts to be fatiguing on them, some players get energized by it. Right? That's what Haliburton's been doing. I'm not saying that he's going to do this for his whole career, but right now, clearly, obviously, that is happening. I mean, I told you this, though. He stops thinking when the pressure's on. He's overthinking early in the game. When the pressure's on, he just reacts. All instinct. Trust your muscle memory. Go on instinct. Just do it, right? And that's what he's doing in the second halves. Like, as the game gets closer to the end, second half, fourth quarter, clutch time, he gets more and more just playing on instinct. Yeah. And I said this back when he was in Sacramento. Haliburton has incredible basketball instincts. His passing ability, like his ability to see the floor is next level. And if he could just get out of his own head... But, like, right now, I don't think he can. I don't think that's going to change, you know? He just has to play his game.
It's Jean-Claude Van Damme, blood sport, right? Where, you know, Bolo says, I'm going to break you like I broke your friend. He's fighting, he's losing. He gets the salt in his eye. He can't see anymore.
Yep, he gets blinded.
He cannot see anymore, and then he remembers the training. He remembers it.
Yep.
And then he freaking owns him.
Yep.
He owns Bolo.
Just got to trust. You got to trust and believe. That is their superpower right now, and I don't think they should go away from it. I think they should continue to trust and believe. And I hope the media keeps criticizing him, honestly, because I think it's just adds fuel to the fire.
That's the fuel. That's the fuel.
That's the accelerant. They don't even have accelerant on this team. The media provides all of it.
And then on the other side, you got OKC, who's Drago. Ivan Drago, the young upstart from Russia, just undefeated.
Yeah. These guys are the Pacers are a bonfire. OKC is a freaking oven. It's just a machine.
Yeah, you wanna cook over a fire? Yeah, that was so BC.
They are just a modern oven. They're an air fryer. They don't even have fire.
Yeah, it's 2025 now, not 192.
But hey, if you want a giant flame, that oven's not going to provide it.
It's true.